Namah Shivaya. Good morning, Ravi ji.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Sada Shiva Samarambha
Sadaशिवसमारम्भाः
Shankaracharya Asmadacharya
Asmadacharya-paryantām
Parampara
Vande Guru
गुरुं
Paramparam
Om
परम्पराम्
Sahana Bhavatu Sahana
Bhavatu
Bhunaktu Saha Veeryam
Sahaviryam
Karavavahem
Karavavahai
Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai
विद्विषावहै
Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat, Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah
Om
Shivaya.
Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya.
Continue with the next verse, which is verse number 19 of chapter 5. We will chant Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Bhagavanuvacha
Ihaiva Tairjita Sargaha
Ihaiva Tairjita Sargaha
Yesham Samye Sthitam Manaha
Yesham Samye Manaha
Nirdosham Hi Samam Brahma
Nirdosham Hi Samam Brahma
Tasmad Brahmani Te Sthitaha
Tasmad Brahmani Te Sthitaha.
Okay. So, look at the words. Iha eva. So that iha eva is broken into iha eva. And tairjitaha is broken into taihi plus jitaha. So, iha eva taihi jitaha sargaha yesham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmat brahmani te sthitaha. And we have to rearrange that for the Anvaya. Yesham manaha samye sthitam kama iha eva taihi sargaha jitaha full stop. So yesham manaha samye sthitam kama iha eva taihi sarga jitaha full stop. Nirdosham he here has to be taken as yasmat, because nirdosham hi brahma samam kama tasma te brahmani sthitaha. So yesham manaha, those people whose minds samye sthitaha is naturally the same. Sthita means rooted or stable. So whose minds are stable. Taihi, for those people, iha eva, here itself in this world, sargaha jitaha. Sargaha means the universe, the birth. Sargaha jitaha, they win over birth. They go beyond birth. Because nirdosham Brahma, the Brahma which has no doshams, which is defectless, is samam, is the same. Tasmat, therefore, te brahmani sthitaha, they abide in Brahman. So basically, here itself, the problem of birth is overcome by them whose mind is established in samam, in the sameness, the vision of sameness. Because Brahman is indeed the same and defectless, and therefore they are saying that these people, they see everything as the same. And a person who sees everything as the same, what is he? He is established in Brahman alone. So very nice little verse. And here we should note that many other darshanas, many philosophies of the darshanas in the Indian system we are talking about, they point out that moksha is not possible when the body is alive. And therefore, many of the systems say that liberation is possible only after death, which is why they describe liberation as going to a particular place after death. There is a journey. Because Jivan Mukti concept is not there. So they say Mukti is only Videha Mukti. After the body is gone, then only can you get moksha. And therefore, you will go. You will go to Shiva Loka, you will go to Vishnu Loka, and there you will sit at the feet of the Lord. And this is how liberation is understood by many people. And Krishna here is rejecting that philosophy, and he's saying that is not correct. Moksha is possible. Iha eva. Here itself, here and now itself, liberation is possible. And this is a very important, Iha eva, very important two phrases, two words, because they are negating the other darshanams. That moksha is possible only when you drop the body. So the other people say that the body is subject to shadvikara, it's subject to prarabdha, and the body is being racked by fever, and your teeth are fallen out, and your stomach is in bad shape. How can you say you are Jivan Mukta? And therefore, they will say moksha is possible only at the time of death. When you withdraw from all the organs and you enter the Sushmana Nadi and you exit through Brahmarandra and then get on to the Shukla Gati and finally reach Vishnu or Shiva Loka. Then only is there moksha. But these people, they don't remember what is said in other parts of the Gita. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddesho arjuna tishtati. The Ishvara is residing in the heart of all people. Sarva bhutanam hriddesha tishtati. Hey Arjuna, Ishvara resides in every person in his heart. And so Krishna says, Taihi sargaha jitaha. Taihi, those people who have got samadrishti, who have got this vision of sameness in everything. Taihi sargaha jitaha. So sargaha is birth, to be taken as punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam cycle. So sargaha has to be taken as the samsara, being born and dying, being born and dying again. What do they do? Taihi sargaha jitaha. Those people have conquered samsara. Jitaha means conquered. Sargaha is to be taken as samsara. Taihi, those people who have got samadrishti, they have conquered samsara. And he knows that the samadrishti, the vision which he sees of samatvam, of sameness, it does not belong to anatma at all. And there is no dosha at all over here because the vision has changed. He doesn't take himself as the wave any longer or the ocean. He rejects the idea that I am the wave, the finite entity. He rejects the idea that I am the ocean, the infinite entity, but he takes himself as the very essence, the water. The wave, remember, has birth and death. The ocean can be evaporated, but both wave and ocean are only names given to particular forms, to finite and large forms. But as the eternal water, what happens even when the sun evaporates the whole lake? The water will continue in the form of water vapor or humidity. And even when I am pouring down from the skies as rain, and I am pouring into what I call rivers, and I am going into that container which is called the ocean, what is happening? All these are only names and forms. Steam, humidity, rain, streams, rivers, oceans, all are only forms and names. But I am the eternal water. So this idea of being the eternal water, that is Jivan Mukti. And because of the shift of the perspective, I, the water, no longer take it that I am the wave being born and dying. I no longer say I am evaporated. I say, yes, I have changed form, but I am still there. And we saw this. Najayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha. So my transactions end, but I survive. Just like in Sushupti Avastha, I am not transacting, but I am not gone. So the end of the transaction is not my end. And you have to extract from here. Similarly, during death, the physical body goes away, and I will stop transacting through this particular physical body, but I survive. When this idea is thoroughly assimilated, my fear of mortality is gone, because I know that I survive throughout. And therefore it is sargaha jitaha, that birth and death cycle, which we call samsara, that has been defeated. By whom? Yesham manaha samye sthitaha, by those whose mind is established in samadarshanam. Samadarshanam is a constant state of seeing Brahman in everything, knowing that I am Brahman and knowing that I pervade everything. So I am a nididhyasana yogi. And therefore the mind will get nishtha, because my mind has fully assimilated the truth that I am Brahman. This has been driven down into my subconscious mind. And so if you ask me and say, hey, who are you? I won't say I am Sthula Shariram. I won't say I am Karana Shariram. I will say I am Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vyatarita Avasthataraya Shakshi. I am Vyatarikta. I am different from Sthula, Sukshma and Karana Shariram, and I am the Sakshi Avastatrayam of all the three Jagrada Avastha, Sushupti Avastha and Swapna Avastha. I am the witness. I am the Sakshi. And what is the nature of the Sakshi? Samam Brahma, the same entity which is found in everyone, which is pervading everything in this universe. That is called Brahman. Brahman is the uniform Vastu which is inherent in all people. And what is the nature of that Brahman? Nirdosham, free of defect, ever Shuddham. Shankara adds here in his commentary that Nirdosham Brahma is the vision of the Jnani. But to the Mudaha, to the Ajnani, to the Shastra Ajnani, he says Atma is doshavat, contaminated with what? Punyam, papam, raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, etc. But the reality is what? Nirdosham. I am untouched by those doshas. That is the reality. And the question I need to ask is, this reality is at what time? Is it after I have completed Nididhyasanam? Is it after I have completed Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam? No. The reality is that I, Brahman, am Nirdosham. I have always been Nirdosham. I am Nirdosham. I will continue to be Nirdosham. Whether the Jiva is a Jnani or a Ajnani, Brahman is Nirdosham. Therefore, I am incapable of being tainted. And even now, when I think that I am contaminated, the fact is that I am Nitya Shuddhaha, ever pure. And therefore, what is the consequence? Brahmani Sthitaha. I am always established in Brahman as Brahman. And therefore, a Nididhyasaka Jnani is always established in Brahman. And such a person is a Samadarshi. A Samadarshi is a Brahmanishtha also. Okay. Now, one question that can come up is, when we say Jnani does not have Deha Abhimanam, what does it mean? So there are other darshanas, other stories are there, plenty of stories in the Puranas, Itihasas and all that, where they present the Jnani as beyond pain, mental or physical. So they have there's a story I read somewhere about somebody called Sadashiva Brahmendra. He's one of the Jnanis. So he was walking somewhere, it seems, and the story says that when he was walking along, he had some, he was wearing some gold bracelets, expensive gold bracelets, and he was walking along, and some thief came and he wanted the gold bracelets. So he took out a big knife and cut off Sadashiva's hand and threw the gold and went off and threw away the hand. Okay. Now the point is that it seems Sadashiva Brahmendra didn't know at all. He kept on walking, until somebody finally took him to the hospital. He saw that hand was bleeding and took him to the hospital. This is one story. So beyond physical pain. Then people give stories about other sages like Ramana Maharishi. It seems that this story says that he had surgery without anesthesia. And this is very often presented. The Jnani is a person who does not feel pain. Is this possible? What is the sign of a Jnani? From this story, what is the sign of a Jnani? From the story, it seems the sign of a Jnani is that he should be dead to physical pain. So, right? This is a medical condition also, incidentally. So there are doctors in this group. What is that medical condition called? Insensitivity to pain. Anybody?
Anhedonia. It's a technical word which they use, and it could be for many conditions that they don't feel pain at all.
Yeah. So something like analgesia, right? So that you are
Yeah.
insensitive to pain because of your nerve centers are dead. But these stories indicate that is what is the sign of a Jnani, which is not true at all. And as a Vedantic, we should understand that this Deha Abhimanam, that is the identification of the body, is a very important point. Okay, what is Deha Abhimanam? Deha Abhimanam has two types of Abhimanam. One is Samanya Abhimanam and one is Vishesha Abhimanam. Samanya Abhimanam is general identification with the body, which is common to all living beings. That Samanya Abhimanam comes out of Prarabdham, of your Prarabdha only. And because it comes from the Prarabdha, that Samanya Abhimanam cannot be removed. So biological pain cannot be stopped. If you cut off a Jnani's hand, he won't be sitting there with a beautiful smile on his face. He will be screaming with pain. Right? Knowledge that he is not the body does not eliminate the pain generated by the Samanya Abhiman. And that we should understand. Then there is Vishesha Abhimanam, that which is caused by Atma Ajnanam. And Vedanta, remember, Atma Jnanam removes only Vishesha Abhimanam. That pain which is caused by Atma Ajnanam. It can never remove Samanya Abhimanam. And this has been discussed very beautifully where in Drik Drishya Viveka. For those of you who have done the text, I'll quote for you. Ahankarasya tadatmyam chichaya deha sakshibhihi sahajam karma bhranti janyam cha trividham kramat. It's a beautiful little verse from the text called Drik Drishya Vivekaha. What does it say? Ahankarasya. So here Ahankara is the mind. Ahankarasya tadatmyam, the identification of the mind with what? Chit Chaya Deha Sakshibhi. So three entities, three entities, Chit Chaya, Deha, and Sakshibhi. So Ahankarasya Tadatmyam Chit Chaya Deha Sakshibhi. The identification of the mind with three things. What are they? Chit Chaya. Literally, Chaya is what? Shadow. Or can be taken as reflection. Chit is consciousness. Chit Chaya is reflected consciousness, the shadow of consciousness. So RC. Chit Chaya means RC. Deha means the body, the RM. And Sakshi means the OC. Therefore, he's saying the mind has got identification with three entities, with the RC, with the body, the RM, and with the OC. And Trividham Kramat. They are of three types. What are the types? Sahajam. Sahajam, the word Kramat is important. It indicates that it is sequential. So it is to be referred to in particular connection with the order in which the words appear. Chichaya, Deha, and Sakshibhi. So he says Sahajam, Karmajam, Bhrantijanyam. So Sahajam is to be connected to Chichaya. So he says the connection of the mind with the RC is natural, sahajam. And what is natural cannot be broken. Which is to say, as long as the mind exists, the connection of the mind with the RC cannot be broken. So as long as the Videha Mukti is not there, I'm not saying death, because the Sukshma Shariram is still there. Therefore, as long as the Videha Mukti does not occur, the connection of the mind with the RC cannot be broken. That is number one. Then, so that is Chitchaya Ahankarasya connection. The next connection is what? Is Ahankarasya Deha connection, which is Karmajam, born out of past karma. The connection of the mind with the body is born out of Prarabdha only. And therefore, when does it break? When the body dies, the connection of the mind with that body breaks. And the third one, so we have seen two. Connection of the mind with RC, which is sahajam, natural, cannot be broken. Connection of the mind with the body, which is born out of prarabdha karma and can be broken when the body dies. And the third one is the connection of the mind with the sakshi, the OC, which is bhranti janyam. The connection of the mind with the OC is born out of delusion, and therefore it can be broken only through jnana. These three are the points to be noted. So remember that the first connection is what we talked about earlier, that is samanya abhimanam. Jnani also has samanya deha abhimanam. You should never believe any story which says that Jnani is immune to physical pain, unless, of course, he is suffering from a physical condition, in which case he doesn't need a doctor. He doesn't need a shastram, he needs the doctor itself. Okay, any questions so far?
Yeah, Acharya.
Yeah, please.
If, as you said, that connection with body and mind, now if mind is not resolved, but through in meditative state, Raja Yoga says that you are less connected with that, or kind of mindless. I should not use the word, I'm not getting appropriate word, but probably we can make detachment temporarily. So in that case, pain can be reduced, right?
No. Physical pain can never be reduced.
No feeling.
Somebody in
It will
samadhi, supposing somebody sitting in samadhi and you stab him, do you think he will not feel the pain? Of course he will feel the pain. So all those stories which you hear about people sitting in samadhi and being immune to pain, remember they are only glorifications of the samadhi state. They are to show you that samadhi, these are all stuti, arthavada we call it, to glorify, to motivate you to do that particular sadhana.
So can this be ki I know its body and I'm not this, so pain is there, but I'm not reacting to that pain. Is it so?
It's not physically possible.
Oh.
Otherwise, you should be able to undergo surgery without anesthesia, right?
So that story, like Ramana sits there and the ants are eating. So
No,
this.
these are all stories. I think we should probably disregard them because it's against your pratyaksha pramanam.
Yeah, that's why I'm clarifying.
Anything which goes against your pramanam has to be disregarded.
Okay, thank you.
If your eyes show you that something cannot be done, then no amount of shastram telling you that should be possible. Right? For example, somewhere there's a shastra thing which says that if you touch something hot, it will not burn you. Will you believe that? Because shastram says so. No. So whatever is contradicting your direct pramanam, that unless you can come up with a reasonable explanation, you should disregard. That is the rule of understanding shastra.
So I'm probably like stretching the thing just to clarify. Actually, in my family, suppose my mom and dad, so out of them two, if the same situations come, both are having suppose 102 fever and body pain and all. So my mom reacts more than my dad. He probably won't take medicine, then he won't do. He'll remain calm, and after 5 days probably it would be over. So in that case, is it not that one is able to tolerate, knowing that it's okay?
Toleration is completely different. Point is whether you are feeling the pain or not.
Oh, that what I was saying, I know yeah, body, it will, in 5 days probably it will be over, but some says, okay, someday I will die, so let me tolerate. Is it that way? Probably
No,
they
it
are
is not that way
tolerating.
at all. We are saying,
Okay.
what we are saying here is that the pain will be felt. How
Okay,
you,
okay.
whether somebody can probably
React.
not react, even if you're cutting his hand off, but then pain is definitely being felt. That is Samanya Abhimanam. It's a very limited point that those stories have to be taken as only glorifications and not as the truth.
Okay, thank you so much.
Anybody? Okay, so let us look at
How
the
is, sir,
sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
about Vishesh Abhimanam. So body Abhimanam cannot, Samanya Abhimanam cannot be broken as long as your body is there.
Yeah.
The Vishesh Abhimanam, as a Jnani, how is that broken?
Well, the very simple example is when your mind is sorrowful, don't say I am sorry, I am in pain. Say the mind is in pain. I mean, not just say it. You must understand that. You have to be able to say that yes, the mind is in pain and I am feeling, or the body is in pain, but it's okay because I am not the body. That break is the understanding. And if the pain is severe enough, you will be screaming your head off. Okay, that doesn't mean that you don't understand. See, it is okay to react to a situation, but the idea is, even in a painful situation, you should not forget that you are Brahman. That is the point being driven home. Samanya Abhimanam will be painful for you. Sometimes physical pain is there, sometimes mental pain is. In and throughout all that, can you remember that you are Brahman? That is the story.
You will feel it, but you will not say it.
No,
Yes,
that's
sir.
too simplistic an explanation. It is at a deep level, it's at your subconscious level.
At the subconscious level, you will know that you are not, it's the body which is going through the pain.
Yes, and accept it. Okay, now we look at verse number 20. Na prashyet priyam prapya.
Na
Prashyet priyam
prapya
prapya
Nodvijet prapya cha priyam.
No
Chapriyam
Sthira buddhir sammudaha.
Buddhisammudaha
Brahmavid brahmani sthitaha.
Brahmavid brahmani sthitaha.
Okay, so na praharshyet priyam prapya na udvijet prapya apriyam cha sthira buddhihi asammudaha brahmavit brahmani sthitaha. Word breakups. And you rearrange that into Anvaya. Brahmavit brahmani sthitaha sthira buddhihi asammudaha priyam prapya na prahashet, comma, apriyam prapya na udvijet cha. So Brahmavit, the one who knows Brahman, the one who knows himself as Brahman, what is his status? Brahmani sthitaha. He is established in Brahman, meaning that he always remembers that he is Brahman. And sthira buddhihi, his knowledge is firm, without doubts. He has completed Maranam successfully. Asammudaha, he is no longer confused. He has completed Shravanam and Maranam both together. Priyam prapya, whenever he gets what he likes, na praharshyet, does not get elated unnecessarily. Similarly, cha and apriyam prapya, when he faces what he does not like, na udvijet, he does not get agitated unnecessarily. These are the word meanings. He is not elated when facing what he likes, and when facing what he dislikes, he is not depressed. Such a knower of Brahman is firm in knowledge, free from delusion, and is said to be always established in Brahman. So, the question is, what is the use of all this jnanam? Supposing I get the jnanam, where will I live? I will continue to live in the same world. Jivan Mukta continues to be governed by the same physical laws and natural laws as the one who is Ajnani. And what are these factors? Our lives are governed mainly by three factors: Desha, Kalaha, Prarabdha. So always remember, three factors are always governing our lives: Desha, Kala, Prarabdha. Desha, the environment around me, the people around me, the place. And we don't always have a choice of choosing the place which is best for us. Very often we stay in the place where we are born or where our jobs take us. So the environment and people may not necessarily be to your liking. If you're lucky, they may, but they also may not. So whether you like it or not, that environment, that deshaha, it affects your life. Kalaha, whether I like it or not, time is flowing. And when time flows, what happens? The body ages. So if you remember one very beautiful sloka by Shankaracharya, Dinya minyo sayam prataha Shishiravasanto panarayataha Kalakridati gachanti ayuhu Tadapina munchat asha vayuhu. So where did you hear this?
Bhaja Govinda.
Bhaja Govinda.
So Dinya minyo, the night and the day, they come and go. Sayam prataha, the morning and the evening, they come and go. Shishira vasantau punarayataha, the summer and the spring, and the winter and the spring, they come and go. What happens? Kala kridati, time is dancing all the time. And when kala kridati, what happens? Ayu gachati, your age is flowing. You are getting older and older. Tadapina munchati asha vayuhu. Even then, you do not renounce the winds of hope. Winds of hope are always there. Kala will make its effect felt on the body. You will get wrinkles, you will get knee pain, you will get arthritis, you will have white hair, you will have no teeth. When you get up in the morning, it will be a project to get up. When you sit down, it will be another project to get up. So Kala kridati, time dances. And even though these two are there is a third one, Prarabdha. Even though Desha and Kala are the same, the effects of Prarabdha are not the same. You will find that one person is agile and active at the age of 60. You will find that another person who may be 40, moves like a 100-year-old person. So he cannot sit. And somehow if he manages to sit also, getting up, he needs help. What is the difference? There's only one reason, Prarabdha. Therefore, we say everybody's life, including that of a Jnani, is governed by Desha, Kala and Prarabdha. Even the Jnani will have to go through ups and downs caused by these three, which means the Jnani will come across favorable situations, unfavorable situations. So both the Ajnani and the Jnani, they face their Prarabdha. They face the same world. What is the difference? The difference is in response to the situation. Jnanam does not change the event. Jnanam does not change the situation, mind you. Situation is brought about by Prarabdha. Jnanam cannot change that. But Jnanam gives you the inner strength to have a better response, to have a more balanced response towards the ups and downs of life. So the benefit of Atma Jnanam is what? Balance, samatvam. And that's why Krishna says here, Priyam Prapya. When there are favorable situations, when his Prarabdha is good, when people respect him, love him, adore him, when the good Prarabdha gives all these wonderful, happy experiences, A jnani does not go over the moon. He does not get carried away by these experiences because he knows that these experiences are desha, kala, prarabdha driven, and therefore agama payinaha. They will come and they will go. Okay, here we have to understand. When a favorable situation comes, it does not mean that he makes a big face and sits. It does not mean that he doesn't enjoy them at all. He does not reject them. In fact, he may even enjoy them. He will enjoy them if it is a enjoyable situation, but he does not get addicted to it. Okay, he appreciates, but he does not get addicted. So the difference between appreciation and addiction is important over here. What is the difference? When a good situation comes, I can appreciate it. But I don't hold on to it when it goes. I don't get disturbed when it goes. But if I'm addicted to the situation, if I am attached to the situation, then I am not prepared to lose that good experience. And therefore, when it goes, there is a FIR disturbance. So that's what is being talked about here. The jnani's FIR does not get disturbed. He enjoys good situations, but it does not get disturbed when they go away. Because his inner fullness, it continues. And therefore Krishna says, na praharshyet. He does not get carried away by that favorable situation. It does not mean that you should never smile or be happy whenever, a good situation comes. Because a lot of people say jnanis are supposed to not show emotion. That's not true at all. Jnani can be as happy as anybody else. Okay. Yes, somebody's put up a hand. So, Alka, yes, tell me.
Yes. Guruji. The first factor, desha, is that not determined by your prarabdha? Because the place where you're born or the environment.
It can be determined by your action also. No? It's always a mixture of two things, prarabdha and agami. You can decide to go somewhere else.
Okay. So free will as well as.
Free will is also there. Therefore, these three together means free will and prarabdha decide everything.
Thank you.
Excepting
Thank you,
time
Acharya.
over which you have no control at all.
Thank you, Acharya.
Right. So when good things come, be happy, but don't hold on to them. When happy situations come, enjoy them, rejoice, but don't hold on to them. And therefore, there is a very beautiful saying, agate swagatam gachantam na nivarayet. Welcome whatever comes, but do not hold to it when they go. So that is as far as happy situations. What about apriyam prapya, unfavorable situations? Krishna says, na udvijay. He has got balance. He does not get depressed. And the most famous example of this is in Ramayana, where Rama is one day crowned as a king, and next day morning he is told to go to the forest. And Valmiki defines it beautifully in 3 words. He says, na chitta vikriya. His mind was not disturbed at all. His FIR was not disturbed. And that's why in 2nd chapter, Krishna defined yoga as samatvam yoga uchyate. Okay, what about the situations which we face? Once I understand the situation, I will know whether it is choiceless or whether I can do something. So if I can do something, let me do it. There is no excuse for saying this is my fate. If a situation is there and your analysis indicates that you can change the situation or make it better, do it. But if your analysis indicates the situation cannot be changed, then don't waste time, because it is a choiceless situation. And why is it choiceless? Because it cannot be changed. By the very definition, a situation which is choiceless, it cannot be changed. And therefore, what should you do? You change your attitude. Either way, remember, agami karma is being talked about. Your effort is required, your free will is required. To address a situation which can change, you have to analyze and put forward efforts. To change your attitude in the face of a changeless situation or choiceless situation, again you have to put forward effort. So if situation can be changed, effort is required to change the situation. The situation cannot be changed, effort is required, but this time the effort is towards changing the nature of my mind, directed towards your mind. And therefore he says, na udvijet. That person, he is not dejected. Again, a lot of people say that jnanis have no emotion. So the other thing was, as far as happiness is concerned, here it does not mean that the jnani is stone-hearted. When somebody close to him dies, there will be sorrow. But it means that grieve for some time. It is natural because the mind is there. And then move on. So there's a beautiful text called Panchadashi by Vidyaranya, which hopefully we'll do somewhere in the future, where he says Jwara cannot be handled completely, Jwara cannot be removed completely, but Anujwara should not be there. So Jwara can be taken as anything which is disturbing your mind, but Anujwara is taken as identifying with the mind. So sorrow will be there in the mind, but I should know, and I should also clearly understand that sorrow is there in my mind, but I am not sorrowful. Right? So, in fact, Shankara here adds a very nice comment. Coming from Shankara, it's very important. He says that for a seeker, for a nididhyasaka, the one who is doing nididhyasanam, the sadhana is different. He says even in testing times, in troubled times, when the mind is upset, it is okay to be upset. But he has to practice nididhyasana. What does it mean? Even if the situation is troublesome and you are having sorrow or some anger, something like that, it is okay. But to get upset is okay. But even while you are upset, to forget that you are Brahman, that is not okay. So we saw somewhere else, guna, guneshu vartante. The gunas, three gunas operate, transact with three gunas, which means the sense organs always transact with, the first guna is sense organs, the second guna is sense objects. Sense objects will always transact with sense objects. I am not involved. This should be the background music in your mind all the time. Guna, guneshu vartante. This is the sense organs interacting with the sense objects. All sensations of pain and sorrow are from that alone. But I am not sorrowful. So for such a person, remember, priyam, pleasant times, apriyam, unpleasant times, both are mithya. Right? Then somebody asked me in one of the TTCs when we are talking about this, why should I, if you are saying everything is mithya, why should I mourn somebody when he dies? Why should I mourn my parents when they die? Because they are mithya. The answer is a very, very important answer, because this is a question which often crops up. If everything is mithya, what is there to bother about? Remember that life is not pratibhasika. It is vyavaharika. I can afford to ignore pratibhasika, but I have to give vyavaharika proper respect, because I transact there. And therefore, proper respect is necessary. Therefore, the feeling grief at the loss of somebody is okay. So you have to mourn for that person. At the same time, you should not give too much importance, because vyavaharika is not paramarthika. Never forget these three realities: pratibhasika, vyavaharika, paramarthika. You live in pratibhasika, you have to follow the rules for pratibhasika. You have to respect the pratibhasika conventions, but it is not paramarthika at all. And that is why we always mourn for a few days, few weeks, few months, and then we move on. And why is the equanimity possible? So in the second line of this verse, Krishna points out that the mithyatvam of this world can be remembered only under one condition. I can remind myself that the world is mithya only under one condition, and that is if I remind myself that I am Satyam, the Atma. And therefore he says Brahmavit. All this is possible because he is a knower of Brahman. He has discovered inner security. So that person who has discovered inner security, what does it mean? He has discovered that he is Brahman, that he is a Satyam. That is what is mentioned over here. Brahmavit sthira buddhi. He has discovered that he is Brahman. He has discovered his inner security. And sthira buddhi, he is convinced. The buddhi here is knowledge. Sthira buddhi means his knowledge is steady. And which we saw in the second chapter as Sthita prajnaha, the person whose knowledge is steady. Again, I'll repeat, mere jnanam is not sufficient. Mere jnanam will not be available to you during a crisis, which is the story of Karna. Jnanam will be available in a crisis only if jnana nishtha is there, only if conviction is there. If conviction is not there, jnanam will be there in your mind during the crisis, but not available to you. And therefore, if you study Vedanta for years and years and years, and when there is a crisis in your personal life, don't ask, why me? Why? What did I do to deserve this? The question, what did I do to deserve this? Why me? This comes from a mind which has not completely assimilated the law of karma. Remember, assimilation of a value or law means that you assimilate it, to understand it, not just in relation to others, but in relation to your own self. Once I have assimilated that everything happens according to the law of karma for others as well as for me, then I will never ask why me, because I have got the result of what I worked for. And therefore, at regular intervals, I have to ask myself this. In my nididhyasanam, I have to ask myself this. Am I convinced of the fact that I am the Atma, I am the consciousness principle different from the body? Okay, very important question, because very often I see posts saying that I know I am Brahman. Okay. And it's all right. If you know you're Brahman, it's fine. But you have to ask yourself honestly, am I convinced of this? That answer nobody can give you but yourself. And if the answer from the innermost pocket of your heart is no, I have some doubt, then study further. Listen to more, do more Shravanam, more Mananam, more Nididhyasana. And if still you are not convinced, study further. And if you are still not convinced, do more SMN, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. This process should continue till the date when something bad happens to you and it occurs to you spontaneously, oh, this is a result of past karma. So this is the law. Every experience that I go through is perfectly according to the law of karma. If it appears to be an injustice to me, it is only because I have not assimilated the law, which means I have not got a total picture of my life. And of course, most of us do not have the total picture of even the present life. What to talk about past life? So, there are jnanis who suffer from diseases. Jnanam will not stop physical ailment. Jnanam will not remove unfavorable situations. But jnanam will give you the inner strength to face both the situations. And therefore he says, Shravanena Brahmavid Bhavati. Through Shravanam, you will get the knowledge, you will become a knower of Brahman. Mananena Sthira Buddhi Bhavati. Through Mananam, that knowledge will become firm. That is why the two words are used over here. What is Brahmavit and one is Sthira Buddhi. One indicates Shravanam process is complete. The other indicates Mananam process has been complete. So you will get knowledge through Shravanam. You will get conviction through Mananam. And that is why Vedanta allows any number of questions until you are convinced. And that is why Gita runs into 18 chapters. And even after Mananam is over, there is a third problem. Even after conviction, even after Mananam is over, sometimes you have got, habitual responses. So for example, even at this stage, you know that you should not do certain things. For example, you know that you should not get angry, right? And yet there are small, small things which trigger off that anger. In spite of knowing that I should not get angry, small things trigger that anger off. What is the knowing that I should not get angry? That is jnana. What is the getting angry? It is some habitual thinking habit. What is the way to address this? Constantly keeping the teaching in your mind. An alert life. Knowing when the anger thought comes. Keeping the teaching in my mind. Soaking myself in that, in that ocean of Krishna's words. Let me take a dip in that ocean every day, every minute of my life until I am completely wet with that knowledge. Then only this habitual thinking pattern will go. The effect of teaching should become spontaneous, should be inside my subconscious mind. So it's available to me without conscious thought. That is called Jnananishtha, which Krishna calls over here asammudaha. So you'll notice three words: Brahmavit, Sthirabuddhihi, asammudaha. Brahmavit is post-Shravanam, you are becoming Jnani. Sthirabuddhi is post-Mananam, then Jnani has become Jnananishtha. Asammudaha is you have addressed the habitual thinking patterns. The Viparita Bhavana you have addressed. So three stages are being talked about: Brahmavit, Sthirabuddhi, asammudaha. And having reached stage number 3, after Nididhyasanam, proper Nididhyasam, what will happen? Brahmani sthitaha. That person is established as Brahman. The ups and downs are incapable of doing him any disturbance in his FIR. Such a person is Brahmani sthitaha. And Shankara writes a nice introduction to this verse. So in his Bhashyam, every verse has an introduction. Some introductions are very short, some are quite thought-provoking. And here he writes that Nididhyasanam has the primary purpose of promoting a mindset of what? Aham nirdosham Brahma. You should be getting the mindset that I am that defectless Brahman. And if you are that, it also means that you are not doing Nididhyasanam for moksha. A person doing Nididhyasanam should not have the idea that he is doing that Nididhyasana sadhana for moksha, because the very idea that I am working towards moksha, that idea, says Shankara, will make that Nididhyasanam ineffective. Therefore, I should be constantly aware that I am Nitya, Mukta, Nirdosha Brahma. And the sadhana prescribed in this verse is for what purpose then? If Nididhyasanam is not for promoting the idea that I am Brahman or for my mukti, then what is Nididhyasanam for? Shankara says, Nididhyasanam is for ensuring that your FIR is not disturbed. Don't think you are doing Nididhyasanam for moksha. If you think Nididhyasanam is a what do you call, sadhana for moksha, you are mistaken. Because Nididhyasanam can never give you moksha. If you are not Brahman, Nididhyasanam is not going to convert you into Brahman. Therefore, Nididhyasanam is only for ensuring that your FIR is not disturbed. With this we'll stop. Any questions? Some nice ideas have been put forward in this verse. I hope you will assimilate them.
So, Acharya ji, are these the 4 stages of Anyani, the four kinds of Anyani, the Brahma with Sthira Buddhi, Asamudha, and Brahmani Sthita.
I don't think you can call them as a jnani is a jnani. Okay. So what we are saying, at one point of stage, you have got the jnanam. What is the jnanam? I am Brahman. I was Brahman, I am Brahman, I will continue to be Brahman. That is the jnanam. And then you might have some doubt. Am I really Brahman? Because I am crying all the time. You know. So that is addressed through mananam. And through mananam, through continuous questioning yourself as to why do I think that because I cry, I am not Brahman. That is a question to be addressed.
I just wanted to know, are they just one-way progress and somebody doesn't come back?
Once you have got jnanam, how can you lose it? There is no slipping back. And that you will find that very categorically stated by Krishna in the next chapter, where he says that you will always come back, even if in this life you do not manage to complete the process, you will come back in the next life to where you stopped. So that is something which is a very categoric warranty given by Krishna, that you will always, escalator will not stop. Your body may change, but the escalator will not stop.
Thank you.
Om sir, this is in according with what you have said, that information goes to transformation, and once we are transformed, there is nothing like going back to the earlier state or stage. We will
Again,
be
I'll
moving
have
forward.
At this stage, we are now in the 5th chapter. Now we should say that, which is why I said Nididhyasam is not for moksha. That's a very potent statement. You must understand what it means. If you do not know that you are Brahman after Shravana Mananam, then Nididhyasam is not going to give you anything further. You have to go back to the Shravanam. Shravanam has to be such and Mananam has to be such that the conviction that I am Brahman should be absolute. Once that conviction is there, don't correlate that conviction to your bursts of temper or sadness. Okay. Those things are habitual thinking patterns.
Yeah.
So very, very potent point made that Jnani can also get angry. But if the Jnani wants to enjoy his life, that condition of his mind needs to be improved. So there are two things. One is absolute moksha, which is there with you always, right? You are anyway Brahman. Whether you have come to this Gita class and spent 5 years or not, it doesn't take away from the fact that you are Brahman. All the Gita class tells you is that you are Brahman. That state is paramarthika. That is not going to be affected by the fact of whether you assimilate the knowledge or not. You are Brahman, you will continue to be Brahman. But there is a condition of mind which makes you sad and happy and jealous and angry. All sadhanas, remember, are aimed towards that only. Every sadhana is aimed at FIR reduction. There is no sadhana which is aimed at giving you jnanam, excepting Shravanam. All your meditation, all your asana practice, all your standing on your head, all your scorpions, everything is basically only aimed at control of the mind, FIR reduction.
So then that means Nididhyasanam, we can say control of mind is Chitta Shuddhi only, na? So Nididhyasanam again, then we are saying is for Chitta Shuddhi.
So a very good point. Before you get Jnanam, we say Karma Yoga is the sadhana for Chitta Shuddhi. After you get Jnanam, we say Nididhyasanam is the sadhana for Chitta Shuddhi. Excellent point, Manmun.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I mean, this is something I have to contemplate on. I mean, this is, I think I heard for the first time after so many years.
You will hear many such things. See, the problem with this Vedantic teaching is that it is like a baby, first you give him milk, And after, when he grows a bit, then you introduce semi-solids, and then you tell him milk is useless, now forget it. And when semi-solids are over, then you give him chapati and you say, stop giving him milk. So this is the same thing. You introduce a particular sadhana, then you say, okay, that's no longer valid. Now let's give you a better sadhana.
Yeah.
At the end of all that, we'll say, what sadhana are you talking about? There is no such thing as sadhana. That time is yet to come.
So Acharya, until the end, it's just Chitta Shuddhi only, whether we do Shravanam, Mananam or Nididhyasanam.
No. Shravanam is the understanding that I am Brahman. That cannot be given to you by anything excepting Vedantic study. Because sense organs are not perceivable. I mean, are not capable of perceiving Brahman. And therefore, no pramanam can show you that fact that you are Brahman. No pramanam can tell you are Brahman excepting Vedanta Shastra. In fact, Swami Dayananda makes a beautiful statement somewhere. He says, you cannot stumble onto the fact that you are Brahman. You have to study. That's accidentally coming across the fact that I am Brahman, that does not occur. Because it's beyond the pale of your sense organs, and therefore you cannot accidentally fall across that particular idea.
But at every stage, we are doing Shravanam, Mananam.
Just after we chala gaya, body lacto.
Yes, every stage you are doing Shravanam.
Tony leke रहते हैं. दूसरी गाड़ी लेंगे.
It's like a race, When do you stop the race?
They will take his family members जो भी चल रहे हैं एक दो.
You stop the race only when you're one. But the fact in this, the difference here from the race is that you're already Brahman. There's nothing to establish. So all the subtle ideas, we are only in chapter 5, so bear with me. Maybe we'll be doing plenty of Shankaracharya's arguments about all this on the way. So with this, we'll stop for today. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Acharya.
Thank you, sir.